0.7% back in 1986.
Amendments to the speedy trial rule are expected to allow prosecutors some breathing room when bringing their defendants to trial. Scrambling, which often occurs in bringing a defendant to trial within a certain period of time, should be alleviated in the amendments handed down by the state Supreme Court last year, a spokesman said. It is also noted that the amendments should help prosecutors focus on bringing to trial defendants in jail due to their inability to meet bail.
Francis DiLorenzo, the newly appointed auxiliary bishop to Scranton Catholic Diocese, sees his role as that of teacher and preacher. The special news conference was held today at the Channery Building to introduce the bishop-designate to the media. DiLorenzo expressed strong feeling for married life, pro-life, families, Catholic education, and helping the elderly. The first thing DiLorenzo said he must do is to learn the territory. The 45-year-old priest is a native of Philadelphia.
In Scranton, a convicted triple murderer facing death in the electric chair flatly rejected a plea bargain agreement that could have reduced his sentence to life imprisonment. This disclosure came from Attorney General Thomas P. Kennedy during a post-conviction hearing for David Shamil, who was on death row in a state correctional institution for the stabbing deaths of Victor, James, and Angelina Luinario on September 21st, 1983.
David Stock, who is composer in residence from the Pittsburgh Symphony, also composer of The Shoulder and the Giants, will be performing in town Friday evening for the Northeastern Pennsylvania Philharmonic. David Stock says he's written a lot for the orchestra and also the chamber music, some film and television, and some music for dance. Stock is the founder, conductor, and composer of the Pittsburgh New Music Ensemble and is on the faculty of Tuskegee University. Stock says his interests were aroused in music by his father's large collection of old 78 records.
Top tonight's national news. Workers at Cape Canaveral paid tribute to the 7 astronauts who died in the Challenger disaster 2 years ago today. A memorial service was held at Arlington National Cemetery. Negotiators for the Nicaraguan government and the Contras have opened their first direct talks. They're meeting face-to-face in Costa Rica in hopes of reaching a truce in the 6-year-old Nicaraguan civil war. Up next, after the break, we'll have more national news, and Joe Liberatore will tell us who that lead actress is in the Michael Jackson video.
Ma'am, excuse me. Could you help me, please? Sir, could you help me, please? My little girl, she needs blood. Could you help me? I'm sorry. Somebody, please? My daughter, she needs blood. Could you please help? Somebody help me.
Imagine if you had to ask for blood to save the life of someone you love. Next time the American Red Cross asks, give blood, please.
A miracle in the making, forming eyes, fingers, and toes. A human fetus growing inside its mother. Need care, early and constant prenatal care. If you're pregnant, visit a doctor or a clinic now. This advice from the March of Dimes.
Welcome back to Spectrum News. Continuing with our national news, NutraSweet says it's come up with a fat substitute made from natural protein in milk and eggs that will dramatically cut the calories in foods like ice cream. That company says that taste tests have shown that foods using the new proteins taste just as good as those with high fat. And a survey indicates that almost 3/4 of Americans like Soviet leader Gorbachev. But the pollster at Market Opinion Research says it's not a love-in that was reported during his Washington summit with President Reagan. That summit produced a treaty to eliminate U.S. and Soviet intermediate nuclear-range missiles. More than 3/4 of the people polled like the pact, although a little over more than half say that it won't make the world much safer.
Canada's Supreme Court has ruled today that the country's abortion law is unconstitutional. The law permits only so-called therapeutic abortions approved by hospital committees. The court says that interferes with a woman's right to control her body. The standoff between a polygamous Klan and police in Marion, Utah has ended in bloodshed. One police officer was killed in the shootout, and the Klan's leader, who's charged with bombing a Mormon chapel, was wounded.
House Democrats are drafting their own Contra aid plan, one that would provide about $10 million worth of food, clothing, and medicine, but no military aid. President Reagan is pushing hard approval of his $36 million aid plan, which includes more than $3.5 million for weapons. The House will vote on Reagan's plan on Wednesday. Speaker Jim Wright says he has told the president that the House won't approve any military aid for the rebels. And researchers in New Jersey says an AIDS patient has an AIDS virus that has never been seen in this country before. They say the man was exposed to the virus in West Africa, where it was first showed up about 2.5 years ago.
The Washington Post reports a convicted drug smuggler is linking Panama's military ruler to a drug trade. Sources tell the paper Stephen Kalish claims he gave $300,000 in drug profits to General Manuel Antonio Noriega to launder through Panamanian banks. Noriega has repeatedly denied any role in drug trafficking. East Germany's news agency says Klaus Fuchs, who passed United States and British secrets to the Soviet Union, is dead at the age of 76. Fuchs was a brilliant physicist who contributed to Britain's wartime and post-war research on atomic weapons, but regularly gave the Soviets the fruits of the work he and his colleagues did. He served more than 9 years of a 14-year sentence. After his release in 1959, he moved to East Germany. Now, coming up next after this break, we have Joe Liberatore, who will tell us who the lead actress is in the new Michael Jackson video, as well as a look at the sports. Stay tuned.
Charles Bronson isn't happy.
Sure takes guts to vandalize parks or beat up on trees. But that's what some jerks are doing to our public lands. Only the land can't fight back. But we can. We can save our lands, you and me. Let's face it, someone who gets his kicks punching out flowers shouldn't be too much of a match for us.
Right, take pride in America. Post Office Box 1339, Jessup, Maryland, 20794.
The forest is home to many living things. That's why, if you're careless with fire when you go to the forest, you could burn a lot more than trees.
Welcome back. Okay, now we have Joe Liberatore, who will tell us who that lead actress is in the new Michael Jackson video.
Right, Kim. The actress whom Michael Jackson cavorts with in his newest video is not, as rumored, his sister LaToya. Rather, she's an actress-type person named Tanya Thumstead. However, LaToya does appear, if briefly, in the video. She happens to be the one of the girls hanging out with Miss Thumstead and has a good laugh at her brother Michael. Incidentally, LaToya has just finished making a new single called Just Say No and should be out in your record store very soon. Speaking of currently released singles, the British dance group New Order has released a new single for the British film entitled Salvation. The name of their latest is Touched by the Hand of God. The single is doing quite well in the UK, but won't be released for quite some time in the States. Speaking of the US, New Order's single True Faith has been enjoying much success on the charts. One interesting fact, while most songs spend a while on the charts and then fall off, that's not the case with True Faith. Last week, the single fell from the number 38 position to number 40. This week, it moves up 2, gaining some of its lost territory. In Dance and Anarchy's punk department, the Sex Pistols' infamous album, Nevermind the Bollocks, finally went gold after 11 years. The album contains such hits as EMI, God Save the Queen, and the famous punk anthem, Anarchy in the UK. And this record is simply a must for any real record collector. Recently, one of the music industry's most ambitious retrospectives ever, devoted to the movies, took place in Los Angeles. On the program's itinerary were a 12-hour, 7-film Elvis Presley movie marathon. And a Talking Heads' latest film, Wildlife, was also shown there with never-before-seen live footage. The show also spotlighted Julian Temple's sardonic film, the 1980 classic, containing a history of the Sex Pistols and the English punk movement. Of course, the film I'm talking about is The Rock and Roll Swindle. Also, one interesting punk note, also at the same music festival, the shock-oriented filmmaker Jonathan Waters debuted Hairspray, the full-length feature film, which showcased the talents of Rick Ocasek from The Cars, P. Isadora, and Debbie Harry. Taking a look at some recent birthdays, Sarah from Bananarama turned 26, Annie Lennox, 33, and Shane McGowan of the Pogues and Jim Reed of Jesus and the Mary Chain, who both refused to give the real ages, also celebrated birthdays. Now we'll take a look at the college top 10 charts as ranked by Billboard magazine. This week, Rain in the Summertime puts the alarm at number 10, Love and Rockets at 9, Aztec Camera with Deep, Wild and Tall at 8, The Bangles from their soundtrack Less Than Zero in at 7, NXS with Need You Tonight at 6, and the House Martins check in this week with the number 5 song, The People Who Grin Themselves to Death. The Screaming Blue Messiahs are in at 4 with I'd Wanna Be a Flintstone off their latest album called Bikini Red. And Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart are at it again with this week's 3rd song called I Need a Man. And Brian Ferry's got The Right Stuff with his single The Right Stuff in at 2. And number 1, the new number 1, Flesh for Lulu with their newest single, Long Live the New Flesh. And finally, Karen, that's about it for the music. We'll be checking out lots of new groups next week, including Flesh for Lulu, Age of Chance, and Mel and Kim. So stay tuned for next Thursday.
Thank you very much, Joe. Now, Christine, you're going to tell us if we're going to be faced with another terrible snowstorm this weekend.
Lucky for us, we're going to be spared. We have more cold temperatures in store for us tonight. However, we do have a warmer weekend to look forward to. Let's take a look at the current conditions. The temperature is a bone-chilling 18 degrees Fahrenheit. The humidity is 70 degrees. The barometer is 30.49 and rising, and the winds are calm. Well, the bad news is our high today was 19 degrees and we hit a 1 degree below zero low. The good news is we did get to see the sun for a change as it was a clear but very chilly day. Turning to the national picture, we have a high-pressure system out here in the Midwest which should bring us some warmer temperatures for the weekend. Out on the West Coast, we have a low-pressure system that's causing some clouds and even some rain up here in Seattle. Down here in Florida, they're having some unseasonably warm weather. It's unfortunate for those folks who went south for the winter. They're bringing out their parkas. Taking a look at some of the temperatures across the country, it was 19 degrees in Boston, 21 degrees in New York, 62 degrees in Miami, 48 degrees in Nashville, 61 degrees in Dallas, 50 degrees in Seattle, and 60 degrees in Los Angeles. Taking a look at some temperatures around the country, it was 45 degrees in Dublin, 66 degrees in Hong Kong, 46 degrees in London, and 63 degrees in Tel Aviv. Now let's take a look at the 5-day extendocast. Tonight it will be clear with a low around 5 degrees. Friday, cloudy with a high of 24 degrees. Saturday, partly sunny with a high around 38. Sunday, it's getting warmer with a high around 45 degrees. And Monday, the clouds are back with a high of 42. Keep in mind that the song of the week is The Heat Is On by Glenn Frey, as warmer temperatures are just around the corner. And that wraps up Vision 20 weather for this evening. Karen Joy, back to you.
Thank you very much, Christine. Well, after this wonderful break, we'll have Lori Sauter, who will tell us about those Scranton Wells. Stay tuned.
Here, I want you to learn a song that tells people to say no to drugs. Users and losers and losers and users. I don't use drugs. Don't use drugs. Come on. If you know a user even part at a time, tell them to quit, take a bite out of crime. Users and losers and losers are users. So don't use drugs. Don't use drugs. Now teach it to everybody and help take a bite out of crime.
We all take gambles in life, but when you gamble with your health, the stakes are high and the cards are stacked against you. There's only one way to protect yourself, by playing it safe with periodic health checkups, including spinal examinations. Sure, it's easy to become distracted, but if you depend on Lady Luck to guide you, you're not fooling anyone but yourself. The American Chiropractic Association reminds you, you can't afford to lose your health.
We're on. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Welcome back. And now we have Lori Sauter.
The stage is set for tonight's first half Lackawanna Boys League Southern Division Showdown when Scranton Tech faces West Scranton at the CYC. The Red Raiders and the Invaders both have a 7-0 record. Taking a look at other Southern Division action tonight, we have Bishop and Lancers will play the Bishop O'Hara Bruins. Scranton Prep Cavaliers will host the North Pocono Trojans, and Central Golden Eagles will be playing the Dunmore Bucks at Dunmore. Taking a look at college basketball, number 1 Arizona heads tonight's college basketball schedule with a Pac-10 battle against Arizona State. The Wildcats have zoomed to the top of the weekly poll on the strength of an 18-1 record. Other games this evening include 3rd-ranked North Carolina against Wake Forest in Greensboro, number 4 Nevada Las Vegas hosting Fresno State, and 6th-rated Temple entertaining St. Bonaventure. In local college basketball last night, the top-ranked Division III team Scranton Royals stretched its unbeaten streak to 13 games when they beat Delaware Valley 62-56. The Royals were paced by J.P. Andreyko, who tossed in 29 points. Turning to the NFL, the Green Bay Packers can scratch George Perles from their coaching candidates list. Perles today announced he's staying at Michigan State instead of accepting the vacant Green Bay job. The Packers had reportedly made the former pro assistant the top pick to replace Forrest Gregg, who left the pros to try his hand at resurrecting the Southern Methodist football program. The Minnesota Vikings have offered coach Jerry Burns a 2-year contract extension. That word from Vikes general manager Mike Lynn, who says he expects Burns to okay the extension after he returns from coaching the National Conference in the pros next month. Burns currently has 1 season remaining on his contract. Taking a look at some Olympic action, American ski hopes for the upcoming Calgary Olympics have received another jolt because of a fractured bone in the hip area suffered by Nordic combined specialist Pat Ahern. According to U.S. ski spokesman David Hampshire, Ahern is believed to have suffered the injury while alpine skiing yesterday in Breckenridge, Colorado. Hampshire also said results of x-rays scheduled for this morning are not known. Earlier this month, the International Ski Federation banished U.S. Nordic skier Carrie Lynch from competition for the rest of the year because of blood packing. The American Alpine has also been hit with its share of injuries prior to the Winter Olympics. USA Today reports the American Olympic hockey team would like to add New York Rangers goaltender John Van Beesbrook to the roster. However, Rangers general manager Phil Esposito says he's yet to hear from anyone regarding the Detroit-born netminder. According to the NHL, requests to have players join their country's Olympic teams must be made by next Monday. That wraps it up for sports. Back to you, Karen.
Thank you very much, Lori. That's all for Vision 20 News this evening. For myself, Joy Tyler, Lori Sauter, Christine Brazil, and Joe Liberatore. Good evening.
College, Scranton, Pennsylvania, your NCTV affiliate.